Thank you for joining the United Constitutional Patriots Radio Show with your host, Johnny Jr. Horton. We will be talking about what's going on at the border with that caravan, and we will also talk about other issues about the president and what's going on in our nation. I will now turn the show over to Johnny, so here's Johnny.
Oh, thank you, Pete, and welcome to the United Constitutional Patriots Radio Show, folks. We've got a lot going on, and I want to welcome everybody, and we're going to cover some things tonight, and some of them I normally wouldn't cover, but I think this needs to be brought to the attention of our listeners, our friends, our supporters. Before I get into what's going on the border and some of the news and stuff, we got a gentleman by the name of Michael Stewart. He was in our room as War Dog, praising me and everything here a couple weeks ago, you may remember. Well, because of what we're doing, we had to vet him. And he blew all up and refused, said that we can't vet him. Well, we vetted him anyway. Claimed he'd never had a record or anything, which that's known. I was in trouble 50 years ago, literally, that people tried to bring up. And, it was nothing anything serious. I was just stupid when I was younger. But he is putting out that the United Constitutional Patriots are involved in child trafficking and drugs and all kinds of things. Well, anybody that knows me knows that this is not true. And if this was true, we would not, definitely would not have the support of the Oval Office or any of the political people that we have involved in our shows. But anyway, he says he's going to start a new radio show called United Constitutional Patriots of America, and made the statement that way he could steal our listeners. I don't know what's wrong with this guy, other than the fact we do know that he was charged for having drugs. He got a deferred sentence after fighting it for a year. We've got his whole record, and if anybody wants, we will post it. I don't like to do that, but I will do it to prove a point, because we have to concentrate on America. We have to concentrate on what is going on in the United States of America and on the border. So I just wanted to bring that up to your attention, and I want to welcome, again, we have CJ or TJ down in Louisiana, retired detective. She's a great supporter of ours and friend. We have the St. Bernard County Sheriff's Department down there, and their detectives and their police officers down there listening. I want to thank all police officers for what they do. But the main thing that I want to do, too, is I want to thank all the supporters out there. Today, we got some packages in for the men, we got everything from more radios to tents to you name it. And my challenge went out where I challenged everybody to $20. And we were able to raise, in the last couple of days, money that was badly needed for the United Constitutional Patriot men on the border. I want to thank you from the bottom of our heart, and thank you from the men, because it put us in a position now to where we can make sure that for a short time anyway, they will have what they need. One of the things that are badly needed down on the border is night vision. And because we got one heck of a good deal, we did use $200 and some of that to get 5 night visions that were on the internet. And they're really good night visions, and that gives that much more for the men down there so they can see what's coming at them at nighttime. On the border, the caravan down in Mexico and Central America, they had another breakthrough, and over 1,000 of them came through. Word was that there was no guards on the border down there. So I don't know what's going on that. But I know that a lot more are coming, and we've been told about it. And we actually have videos and boots on the ground of what's going on down there in Mexico, of what's headed our directions. It's even more than what we thought. So we're going to need your continuous support, if you don't mind. Anything you can do for these men that are going to be down there protecting the borders of New Mexico is so highly appreciated. We do have news on what's going on with Pelosi and her trying to leave the country again. I'll let one of the other men, and then I'll come back later on what's going on the border and what we do know for a fact. Whoever wants to take over, flash for me, and I'll call you. Go ahead, Nuclear Warrior.
Thank you, Commander. As is pretty much public knowledge at this point in time, Nancy Pelosi and entourage were on their way to somewhere, and they were planning on taking a military bus to get to the airport, where they were going to take military plane to their final destination. And the president let them get on the bus, and then he called the airfield and told them to cancel the flight, and he left them sit on the bus, and then they were informed that they were not leaving. But they were informed that if they wanted to leave, they could book a commercial flight and pay for it themselves. He just didn't feel like it's the right thing for the government, for the taxpayers, to foot their bill while they're running away from their duties of trying to resolve this wall issue on the border. So that's where that went. We have a report that somebody did encounter Nancy Pelosi and entourage at an airport, like they were getting on a commercial flight, but they were flanked by two or three men who were dressed identical, and the suspicion is that maybe she's being escorted to her new home somewhere else besides going on vacation. So anyway, the whole left is up in arms about that. Here's a post from a good friend of mine. And she says, hey, morons, it's not Melania's job to negotiate the government shutdown. It is Nancy's. And that all comes from Melania taking military flight to Florida. And that's shortly after the president canceled the House Speaker's military flight. So, yep. Nancy's job is to stay here and do official business. And Melania's job was to go to Florida and take care of whatever she does and does best. So they're up in arms about it. They don't like it, but the way I look at it, tough cookies. Let's get this wall thing resolved and get the country safe, and then we can worry about the rest of it later. So, in other news, there's a whole bunch of goings-on with flights in and out of Florida, Guantanamo Bay, flights to Puerto Rico from Guantanamo Bay, and then back to Guantanamo Bay from Puerto Rico. The question arises, did they make a quick trip to grab a few of these loafing Democrats that are in Puerto Rico, supposedly on some form of business, but really they're just finding a way to have a little vacation on the taxpayer's dime? Maybe they picked up a couple and escorted them back to their new abode as well. More on that as we find out more. There's another piece of information here where, according to the FBI, 30 to 40 children were trafficked within Metro Detroit during a Detroit auto show. And I haven't had a chance to vet this information, but I'm going to, and we'll have it ready for you on our next broadcast. The situation on the border is not getting any better. There is another caravan forming in Honduras. They have to come through Guatemala, which could be a bit of a problem because Guatemala doesn't like being stuck in the middle with this whole mess either. And then they have to get through the Mexican southern border and then truck their sorry butts up to the caravan that's already here and waiting for them, roughly a day and a half to 2 days journey away from the wall. So they're planning on making it a big entrance, and we're trying to get people ready to be able to see that coming, get the information passed, try to slow them down or stop them. do what's necessary to get these people and keep them out of the country. So as that progresses, we're probably going to be calling upon the citizenship for additional help if you can do it. I am going to put out a challenge this evening myself. I challenge anybody who can to match me for $50. That's my challenge. I'll be putting my $50 in the coffer here during or shortly after this broadcast. You'll be able to see it in the PayPal. I'm going to hand this off to the commander, and he can pick another subject to present their news for the day. And as I learn more, I will convene again. So it looks like it's up to Gregory. Greg, let's have the news.
Oh, I'm just going to give you a little piece of it right now while I go over some of my notes. But I just wanted to add a little bit more to that story that you brought up because it's so interesting. And I got to say, on the internet, Patriot Nation has never been so happy. And I'm so proud of President Trump for doing it the way he did and waiting for them to get on the bus to pull the plug on these people. But there's some very strange things about it. And I know a lot of the Patriots are there kind of scratching their head, too. First of all, this was 7 Democrat representatives on there on the bus. But then they had 83 family members on the bus. And, so they were taking their whole families. I didn't know that when you did official business overseas, you were allowed to bring all your relatives. That kind of struck me funny. And then we're looking at the locations. She was going to Afghanistan. Now, I've never served in the military. I grew up with the Vietnam vets. I've been counseling veterans after the war for probably, actually starting when I was, 20 years old. So, it's a very strange thing to think that I would be out in Afghanistan in a combat situation, fighting, for America. And all of a sudden, Adam Schiff and Nancy Pelosi show up. Now, what in the world do you think that's going to do for my morale? If she's over there to give people morale, if they're there, that's going to destroy my morale. In fact, Lord help us, I'd probably run into enemy gunfire just to get away from those people. There's nothing that would destroy my morale more than looking at a couple crooked politicians and Nancy Pelosi, who's made off with over 100 million American tax dollars, while these people are working for beans out there. Putting their life on their line, watching their brothers and their sisters and their friends spill their blood. The last thing I would ever want to see is Nancy Pelosi in Afghanistan. Then let's talk about her next stop. She's going to Brussels. Well, as you know, Brussels is kind of the center of where the whole United Nations thing is going down. We've got the yellow vest going over there in Europe and all this kind of thing. People protesting about this UN deal. If you don't understand the Brexit, one of the big portions of the Brexit is allowing the UN to take your sovereignty and to let them bring these migrants into your country. And, and England doesn't want any more. So they want enough is enough. And the same with France and all these other countries, Germany and the rest of them. So exactly what she was supposed to be doing in Brussels, I really don't know. And then her supposed third stop that's still kind of up in the air, whether it was factual or not, was going to be Egypt. And as you may recall, Barack Obama really put the hurt on poor Egypt because he backed the Muslim Brotherhood, gave them American tax dollars to the American Brotherhood so they could overthrow the government in Egypt. Now, after 1 year of that, now that happened, and a year later, the people of the country had to overthrow the Muslim Brotherhood because they were very oppressive and violent and fascist and oppressive and everything else. So what exactly, with a low IQ person that can't hardly even speak, like Nancy Pelosi, would possibly want to do in Egypt? This woman is dangerous. So anyway, and that was just a couple of things was the stops. I just wanted to add that. And I just didn't know if that was standard operating procedure. 83 family members with 7 people. That's just ridiculous. Go ahead, Johnny. Did you want to say something there?
No, go ahead.
So that was just a little bit about that. And that's really, but all I can say is thank you, President Trump. I've never seen Patriot, this just fires up the patriots out there because, they're all so frustrated and we've waited so long. And we're just glad the time is here. And this is such a glorious time. I think we need to really be joyful right now of all the wonderful things that are going on. We're finally, after all the time that, all the ducks had to be put in a row to start get some of these prosecutions going. We know we're seeing reports on the grand juries going around the country. If some of you may have been watching Jim Jordan, one of our favorite senators, by the way, Jim Jordan, or congressman, he was asking some really interesting questions as to the grand juries, and he didn't even know who the prosecutor in New York was there in the grand jury. He thought it would be under Huber, and come to find out it wasn't. Huber wasn't the prosecutor on the case, and it sort of alerted everyone to know that there is with the chief FBI counsel, Mr. Baker, is being investigated for leaks. And Jordan had questions about this, and he said that that he said that there is he was alerted to the fact that he didn't even know that there was an ongoing case, criminal case in progress, and he was even more surprised that there's a special prosecutor that's handling it that's not John Huber. So this shows you the genius of the plan, the white hats. There's grand juries that we're hearing about around the country. We know that the military tribunals started January 2nd, and I think they were probably happening before that, because we got to remember, this just wasn't the beginning of military tribunals. Now, I'm not a military guy, but I'm sure Johnny can probably back this up. But there's always people that are committing crimes and going before military tribunals and probably being sent to places like Leavenworth for things they do wrong. It's a very big population out there in the military, and if you break the law, you're gonna go to a military trial. So those are a couple of really interesting things about that. I don't know what the staff thought about it, but I just didn't know if that was standard operating procedure to take all your relatives on diplomatic flights. So was it really that she was fleeing the country? Were these people really trying to get asylum? Maybe with some of her people that she's done favors for over the years, whether it was the United Nations over in Brussels or whether over in the Muslim brother, or, the Egyptian government. Afghanistan, that one's still if she thought she was going to cheer troops up, and you can imagine the cost, 90 people on the chartered flights and military flights and using our resources, just shows you the disrespect that the Democrats have for the American taxpayer and the American people. They just think that they are the elitists, they're kings and queens, and like she says, she thinks she's as powerful as the president. She's a legend in her own mind. And so, it's a very interesting situation. So I just want to say thank you to President Trump there. He just did, he made everybody so happy today. I mean, I just see nothing but glee and joy out there, but very interesting times that we're in. But I just wanted to add a little to that story, and I'll be back. Thank you, Johnny.
You're welcome. Now, I want to say something. I got a friend of mine. He's one of our patriots. He's up in Colorado. And he made a post that he sent about Trump. And I found it very interesting, and I want to share this with you. It says, how I feel about Trump. You've been on a vacation for 2 weeks. You go home, and your basement's infested with raccoons. Hundreds of rabid, messy, mean raccoons have overtaken your basement. You want them gone immediately. You call the city and 4 different exterminators, but nobody can handle the job. But there is one guy, and he guarantees to get rid of them. So you hire him. You don't care if this guy smells. You don't care if this guy swears. You don't care if he's an alcoholic. You don't care how many times he's been married. You don't even care if he has plumber's crack. You simply want those raccoons gone. You want the problem fixed. He's the guy. He's the best. Here's why we want Trump. Yes, he's a bit of a jerk. Yes, he's egomenistic, but we don't care. The country is a mess because politicians suck. Republicans and Democrats can be two-faced and gutless. The illegals are everywhere. We want it all fixed. We don't care that Trump is crude. We don't care that he insults people. We don't care that he has changed positions. We don't care that he has married 3 times. We don't care that he fights with Megyn Kelly and Rosie O'Donnell. Just a minute, folks. Boy, okay. See, we don't care that he fights with Megyn Kelly, Rosie O'Donnell, and we don't care that he doesn't want the name of some Muslim terrorist, or doesn't know the names of some Muslim terrorists. This country became weak and bankrupt. Our enemies were making fun of us. We are being invaded by illegals. We point where we don't even. Oh, wait a minute. We are becoming a nation of victims where every Tom, Richard, and Hasid is a special group with special rights to a point where we don't even recognize the country we were born and raised in. And we just want it fixed. And Trump is the only guy who seems to understand what the people want. Here's why we want Trump. Yes, he's a bit of a jerk, and he is egoistic, but we don't care. Trump is the only guy that seems to understand what the people want. Let me scroll down here. We're sick of politicians, sick of Democratic Party, Republican Party, and sick of illegals. We just want this fixed. Trump may not be a saint, but we didn't vote for a pope. We voted for a man who doesn't have lobbyist money holding him back. A man who doesn't have political correctness restraining him. We all know that he has been very successful. He's a good negotiator. He has built a lot of things, and he's also not a politician, not a cowardly politician. And he says he'll fix it, and we believe him because he is too much of an egotist to be proven wrong or looked at and called a liar. Also, we don't care the guy has bad hair. We just want the raccoons gone out of our house now. You are welcome to pass this on. Thousands of people who haven't voted in 25 years seems to be getting involved. And the more people get this email, the more that will understand why Trump was elected. The raccoons have to go. I don't believe anybody could have put it more clear than that email we got. Now, on the border, I just got a message a minute ago from David Miller, our man on the border. He says, "Hey Johnny, you hear Hashita? They're coming through. They're coming through. They're criminals. They're criminals. People that live there are seeing more of this and are worried. Gang members possible. Don't call 10-4. They're getting in every other night. In other words, they're coming across our border every other night now in large masses, and we have been catching a lot of them on the border of New Mexico, coming in where they weren't coming before. So this is what we're up against. This is why we need men and boots on the ground, and we need boots on the ground really bad. So if you're interested, please call me. We need boots on the ground. And you can call me at 505-334-2492. For those of you who can, please donate. These men are on the border putting their butt on the line, and it's not a good situation down there. They are in actual combat situations some places along the border. We've had one of these situations so far, to my knowledge, only one of them, and that was someplace between El Paso and Santa Teresa. It was a half-hour to 45-minute fight. Nobody on our side was hurt, from what I understand. I don't know about the other side. We didn't get any kind of response. However, we're down there not to fight, but to defend ourselves if necessary. We're down there to work with and help the Border Patrol, State Patrol, forest rangers they have down there, and any law enforcement on apprehending and holding these people till whoever it is that comes, whichever law enforcement division comes by, we turn them over to them and they deal with them from there. Now they're coming across and just turning themselves in saying, we want medical help. Well, there's something wrong with this picture. They've found a way to get in because they know that they're going to go to jail and be released. Trump was talking about that the other day. This is what is going on, folks. So, you know, we don't know what the situation is on these new people coming in. All we do know is they are coming in. And we need to stop them. And we need boots on the ground to help us do it. Now, for those of you that can make a donation, you can make it directly through to the United Constitutional Patriots. We have our Facebook page. Google it. There's a GoFundMe on there as well as a PayPal account. Please, if you can give. Nuclear Warrior just challenged you folks to $50 a piece that can afford it. And the ones that have already met the challenge, I don't expect you to do it again. But it helps. Anything we get helps. So if you can help, please help us. We did get in some radios and tents today that was donated. Thank you very much. Things the men can use on the border. And I was surprised because they're not cheap tents. They're tents that will withstand the cold. So I want to thank the person that donated them. I don't want to mention names because I don't know if they want their name mentioned or not. If they do, I will be happy to give you the full recognition of it and the people that have made donations. I am doing everything I can to make people understand the seriousness of this. These people coming through, folks, especially the armed ones, the criminal element of them, the child trafficking, they've got to be stopped. And we're the only thing there to stop them. Our governor, she doesn't think we need the wall. She doesn't think we need to be on the border. She thinks we need to just let them come through. Sorry, folks, but they come through. I'd rather have fighting on the border than have them fighting in your backyard. This is a situation, and it's not a very good situation. And yeah, thank you, Matthew. I'm going to read a couple of these. It says, live from live feed, Matt Wall. I heard an American truck driver speak on live stream, which I believe to be true. They want drivers to transport in semi-trailers. If they make it over, they could go north on the 15 corridor to Canada. That's Matt Wall. Thank you, Matt. Tina Elkins says, I heard a truck driver call in something yesterday and said the cartel offered him 10 grand to take his truck to pick up the caravan invaders and bring them to the cartel. The man said, no way. JB, Walter, hello, my friend, and welcome back. The churches are hoarding and helping these illegals too. Matt Wall says, yes, Tina, me too. The driver did not know where they wanted to bring them, so I saw more news from a source that maybe Canada could be a distraction. They signed the UN Compact. This is crazy. We need help. We need to stop this from coming across the borders. Now, here's the bad part. There's men on the borders of California, Arizona, Texas, and they're doing a hell of a job. They're down there with the military, and they're still getting through down there. We need that wall. Please, folks, call your congressman, your senator, call the White House. Raise hell. Let them know that you are in total support of Donald Trump. Don't let these people do this. We got to stand together as Americans, united. For those of you that are veterans, you took an oath to defend our country through foreign or domestic. That oath was never discharged from you when you got discharged. So what I'm asking you now is for you to call me, be boots on the ground, help us. We have troops that broke down. They're on their way in, and they will be on the border very shortly. Now, Tina Elkins said, I just heard gold reset January 22nd, 2019. Woohoo! That's my daughter's birthday. Well, happy birthday to your daughter, Tina. And yes, we have heard the same thing. I don't know the dates, but it is happening. If you want to send camp gear, tent, dry good foods, anything that you would use if you were camping, if you want to send it to us to help these men on the border, please send it and you can send it to the United Constitutional Patriots, care of John Horton or Mark Cheney, Cheney, at Post Office Box 1334, Flora Vista, New Mexico, 87415. And I'll give the address out again here in a little while for those of you that may not have been able to write it down. Let's see. Ike Baseman says, I don't. If you guys know Mexico is letting the second caravan, they are coming. Yes, they are coming. Ike, they are coming, and we need help to stop them because we've already been told by boots on the ground inside of Mexico that they are planning on coming through the state of New Mexico because they know that it's pretty much open border, and we need as many boots on the ground as we can get. Okay, Doc Robinson said, check out Josh Blakely. I don't know what that's about.
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
They want me to bump another one out of the live stream, I think.
Okay, we got another mole in there. Somebody who's going to be talking bad about us, but I don't care. We have a job to do. Our job is to protect the United Constitutional Patriots and the United States citizens. Our job is to protect our Constitution and Bill of Rights and work with law enforcement every way we can to help stop what is going on. That is what we got to do. Okay, Lou says, I am a part of a group that named the Fireflies. We're currently hunting down illegals and sanctuaries and reporting them to ICE. God bless America. Thank you, Lou. That's highly appreciated. And more people need to do that. When you see people that you know are wrong or not supposed to be here, call the authorities. Don't put up with this. These people are not here to be our friends. They're stealing our children. They're using children for child sex trafficking. They're using them for body parts, believe it or not. They're harvesting them. We have proof of this. It's not just talking. This world has gone crazy, folks. And us as Americans in our country, we need to defend our children, our families, our lives, our livelihood, our way. Millions of Americans have died over the years and given their lives to protect the red, white, and the blue. And by God, I'm not going to stop myself. I don't care about being who attacks us and who isn't attacking us and the other groups. That goes on all the time. You know, they get their feelings hurt, or they hear something, or they're on the left side, so they're going to try to destroy the good that the people are actually trying to do. We are legal and we are licensed in the state of New Mexico and the federal government. We have our we have all of our paperwork. Anybody ever wants to see it, I'll be happy to show you. I have no problem with that. We have our federal ID number. If the time ever needs be, I'll put those numbers over and you can check them out. We're in San Juan County, Farmington, New Mexico area. And we're registered, like I said, with the state and the federal government. We are legal. We've been vetted by other people. In fact, Monday, there's a radio show out of Seattle, Washington, or a TV show out of Washington State, and we're going to try to air it at the same time. They're going to do an interview with me for TV, and it'll be the second one we do. They vetted us, and they were very pleased with what they found out about us. We're basically a humanitarian group. When we're not worrying about the border, when there's hurricanes, tornadoes, flooding, whatever it is, wherever somebody needs help, we try to be the first boots on the ground to help them. We have been doing this for a lot of years, folks, and all I want to do is make a difference in America with what we do. I want to protect your rights and your family and your children, protect our future. This is what we're about, and we need your help and support in every way. Without it, it wouldn't be possible for us to keep men on the border. Once they're on the border, they can't just up and take off, and they all know this and they realize it. They've given up their jobs, being away from their family, to be in tents in the middle of the winter to watch our border and help capture these illegal people coming in. But I will say this. If there is a firefight of any kind whatsoever, you are fired on. You have to be fired on first. We do have open carry in this state. You will not have any problem getting weapons down to the border in this state. You are legal. And I don't expect anybody to get shot at and not shoot back. We are not a bunch of vigilantes. Most of the biggest percent of the Patriot group down there, the United Constitutional Patriots, are veterans, trained combat veterans who served every place from Vietnam all the way through Iraq, Iran, Desert Storm, you name it. So with that, who else has anything to say? Nuclear Warrior, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Commander. Hello again, folks. Yeah, Johnny's right about the stuff going on at the border. It's going to get desperate before too much longer, I'm afraid. While it's good that you can send any of your unused camping gear and all those kind of items down to the headquarters to get forwarded down to the border for the troops, in some cases, when you stop and think about shipping costs on top of all of that and time delays, etc., it might be better if you were able to maybe donate gift cards, say for Walmart or Visa gift cards, gas cards also. Donations through the GoFundMe page and the PayPal link, etc., that we could probably get the stuff to them faster and overall cheaper because we won't have to deal with shipping. So you might want to keep that stuff in mind as well. We need the people. If you can make it down here to give us a hand on the border, your assistance is greatly appreciated, especially veterans, because they're already in the know about chain of command and their positions in prior service, and they were probably very good at it. I know several of them, as of recent, that have popped up are quite good at what they used to do and still do as a hobby. But, it's at the point where this country was in 1776 and again in 1812. Seems like, we always have to rely as the first boots on the ground to be the patriots, the Minutemen, the citizens who keep and bear arms. Usually in 1776, they were the first called up. In 1812, though we had an army, the local militias acted first, and it all ended up with the big siege at Fort McHenry, a big last gasp by the British, and the proof is in the song from Francis Scott Key. So just keep this in mind. If this continues, where we continue to have these people violating the border and sneaking into the country and dispersing amongst the population, you may end up having to deal with this on your own doorstep. So you need to be vigilant. You need to be cognizant of your surroundings all the time. Pay attention to your family members. If they hear, see, or think something's not quite right, talk to your kids about this and get some information. And if it turns out to be something quite wrong, contact the local authorities. And if you don't get much response there, you go over their head, contact the next higher up, the sheriff's department, state police. Post your concern here on the United Constitutional Patriots Facebook page. We have a knack for getting really strong hands on some of this situational stuff when it comes right down to the wire. Just little tidbits of information for you folks. This is serious stuff. They're in the country already. They're just waiting for the chance to make their move. If they breach the border, they're going to try to do a flank from the backside to act as a distraction to help take the pressure off of the ones that are trying to cross at the border proper. So this is the stuff you need to keep in mind. Keep your eyes open. If it don't look right, don't sound right, don't smell right, you get a gut feeling that says this is wrong, make the call. Do your part. The life you save might be your own. Commander, I'll let you hand it off to somebody else if you like.
Okay, Chuck, is there anything you would like to say, sir?
Well, at the moment, not much more than what you guys have had to say.
Okay. Reaper, is there anything you'd like to say?
I don't have anything.
Okay, sir. She-Wolf, anything you would like to say? Okay. Well, I know this is a shorter show than normal, but we don't have any cues right now. But I want everybody to know that what we are up against and what we are fighting for. We're fighting for you. You're fighting for your freedoms. We're the only line of defense they have in New Mexico, and we need all the help we can get. Our children are our future, and I really don't know what to do to make people understand how serious this whole thing really is. I've got another problem that I'm going to let Pete cover. It's on a drug that's coming in. And Pete, I'll let you go ahead and cover that, okay? I don't know where Pete went to. Greg, go ahead.
I just had one, since you read one, Johnny, if you'd let me just take a moment. This was a letter I'd like to read. It came from a California teacher down in Los Angeles. And I thought this was extremely interesting, and I thought the audience might enjoy this as well, just as a fact finder. Shared on Facebook by a teacher in California who sees firsthand the destruction of America. 900 teachers just got laid off from Los Angeles. Unified School District, I guess that's what it's called. They are $650,000 over their annual budget. The following comments by an English teacher help to explain one area that looms large over California's educational crisis. I hope each person receiving this mail will read it carefully all the way to the end. It is sad what is happening to our country, all because of our politicians are afraid they will miss out on a vote. What a travesty. This English teacher has phrased it the best I've seen yet, and it should make everyone think, be you Democrat, Republican, or independent. From a California school teacher. As you listen to the news about the student protests over illegal immigration, there are some things that you should be aware of. I am in charge of the English as a second language department at a large Southern California high school, which is designated a Title I school, meaning that its students average in the lower socioeconomic and income levels. Let me scroll here just.
Okay, while he's looking for that, okay, go ahead, Greg.
Sorry, I didn't know I wasn't still going. Okay, let's try it again there. I didn't realize I was off. Okay, most of the schools you're hearing about are Compton, Southgate High, Bell Gardens, Huntington Park, where the students are protesting. These are Title I schools. Scroll just a little here. Title I schools are free breakfast and free lunch program. When I say free breakfast, I'm not talking about a glass of milk and a roll, but a full breakfast and cereal bar and fruits and juices that would make the Marriott proud. The waste of food is monumental, with trays and trays of it being dumped into trash uneaten. Our tax dollars at work, I estimated that over 50% of all these students are obese, or at least moderately overweight, and about 75% or more have cell phones. The school also provides daycare centers for unwed teenage pregnant girls so they can attend class without the inconvenience of having to arrange for babysitters or having family watch their kids. More of our tax dollars at work. I was ordered to spend $700,000 on my department or risk losing funding for the upcoming year. And even though there was little need for anything, my budget was already substantial, but I ended up buying new computers for the Computer Learning Center, half of which 1 month later were carved with graffiti by the appreciative students who obviously feel humbled and grateful to have a free education in America, more of our tax dollars at work. I have had to intervene several times for young substitute teachers whose classes consist of many illegal immigrant students here in the country less than 3 months who raised so much hell with the female teachers, calling them putas, which is whores, and throwing things, that the teachers were in tears. Free medical care, free education, free food, free daycare. It's a wonder is it any wonder they feel entitled not only to this to be in this country, but also to demand rights, privileges, and entitlements. To those who want to point out to how much these illegal immigrants can contribute to our society because they happen to like their garden or their housekeeper, or they like to pay less for tomatoes, I say spend some time in the real world of illegal immigration and see the true costs. Higher insurance, medical facilities closing, higher medical costs, more crime, lower standards of education in our schools, overcrowding, new diseases. For me, I'll pay more for tomatoes. Americans, we need to wake up. The guest worker program will be a disaster because we won't have the guts to enforce it. Does anyone in their right mind really think that they will voluntarily leave and return? It does, however, have everything to do with culture, and a third world culture that does not value education, that accepts children getting pregnant, dropping out of school by the age of 15, and refuses to assimilate, plus an American culture that has, has become so weak and worried about political correctness that we don't have the will to do what is needed. If this makes your blood boil, and it did mine, forward this to everyone you know. Oh, I'm sorry. Cheap labor isn't what the whole immigration issue is about. Business doesn't want to pay a decent wage. Consumers don't want expensive produce. Government will tell you Americans don't want the jobs. But the bottom line is cheap labor. The phrase cheap labor is a myth, a farce, and a lie. There is no such thing as cheap labor. Take, for example, an illegal alien with a wife and 5 children. He takes a job for $5 or $6 an hour. At that wage, with six dependents, he pays no income tax. Yet at the end of the year, he files and gets an income tax return and gets $3,200 free. Now, he qualifies for Section 8 housing and subsidized rent. He qualifies for food stamps. He qualifies for free, no deductible, no copay health care. Absolutely free, 100% free. His children get free breakfasts and lunches at school. He requires bilingual teachers and books. He qualifies for relief from high energy bills. If they are or become aged, blind, or disabled, they qualify for SSI. Once qualified for SSI, they can qualify for Medicare, all this at taxpayers' expense, of course. He doesn't worry about car insurance, life insurance, or homeowners insurance. Taxpayers provide Spanish language signs, bulletins, and printed material. He and his family receive the equivalent of $20 to $30 an hour in benefits. Working Americans are lucky to have $5 or $6 an hour left after paying their bills and his. The American taxpayers are also pays for increased crime, graffiti, trash cleanup, free childcare, free money makeovers, free mommy makeovers after having their children. We're paying for tummy tucks and free mommy makeovers. Yes, cheap labor, right. Wake up, people. Nothing is cheap. The estimated annual cost for state, local, and federal is nearly $400 billion a year. Now, remember, that's a pretty good percentage. We only take in less than $3 trillion. So 400 billion is a pretty big number. So that was just a little bit of the letter that I just wanted to share that with you to bring that into reality, because people always say, oh, you're trying to abuse you don't want to let illegals in, we need housekeepers, we need this and that. And so I just wanted to pass that. I thought that teacher had some very insightful things to say there. And getting back to what Pete has saying, this has been the hardest thing since the Patriot movement started with the adrenochrome. This is what these Hollywood people and these kings and queens with their sacred rituals going back to the Egyptian times, really, that they've been following this satanic cult where they actually torture children to get the adrenaline up. They put needles in their eyes. You know, there's a black web video of Hillary Clinton cutting the face off a 8-year-old girl as she screams and cries, and boy, that'll get your adrenaline up. And then what they do is they, after of course they gang rape these kids or whatever they do, then they kill them, sacrifice them to Satan. The pineal gland has plenty of adrenaline, so they cut that out. And then you read about Hillary Clinton and all her famous chefs that do spirit cooking. They take those adrenal glands and they eat them. That's hard for most Americans to swallow. And when it first started, very few patriots really wanted to believe this could really be happening. But the evidence is in, the facts are in, it's a fact. There's a satanic cult of most of these elites were sociopaths that were put into their positions. They selected who we elected for this very reason. They're sociopaths. And this includes a great number of your world leaders, a lot of your Democrats, you know. It's a very sick cult, but because they were born without conscience, 4% of the American, or 4% of all people are born with no conscience. So they can put a needle in a child's eye or cut her face off, and it doesn't seem to affect them one way or the other. Okay. And that's how they choose these people. When you look back, what were all these people? The Clintons, they were sociopaths. Huma Abedin, sociopath. Mostly all of the world leaders are sociopaths. So these, you know, this is Hitler we're talking about. And a lot of them actually descended from Hitler. There's a lot of people believe that Merkel is Hitler's daughter that was raised in the Vatican. You know, a lot of these people, if you draw their bloodlines, they come down to these same royalty bloodlines that have carried on these traditions. And but how you know, I don't believe that, you know, a lot of these families just birth a bunch of sociopaths. These people are carefully watched, carefully selected for sociopathic tendencies. In the harsh reality, this is the kind of thing that's going on in the world. It's just a horrible thing. And then, of course, you know, they put it into a world power structure where they're organ harvesting these kids, and now they're taking all these kids from Planned Parenthood. And boy, there's another real doozy there. Come to find out that $65 million in the last election came from Planned Parenthood. So what the government does is, you know, the politicians, they give the money to Planned Parenthood if they'll come back and support their campaign and a pay to play. So there's another thing with Planned Parenthood that, you know, my mom worked for Planned Parenthood and she was a big supporter. They did a lot of good things. They gave out free birth control and this and that. But, you know, we can replace Planned Parenthood with another program. You know, they've lost their right. As far as I'm concerned, they should be completely defunded based on these illegal activities. But that's hard for people to believe out there. I know that it really is, but do your own research. That's all I can say. There's a whole global cannibalistic market out there. You know, they've actually gone so far to put, you know, human cells in food and put it in your Doritos and your Pepsi Cola and all kinds of things like that. So, I mean, there's just a really sick agenda out there. And of course, we all know Agenda 21. We talked about that on the last show. The basic plan of all these different things was to kill you in the end and get rid of the world population, you know, get 80% of the people killed off. So the great elite kings and queens can basically enslave us. And of course, you know, that's not, you know, the world has plenty of resources, plenty of food for the whole world. Okay. There's plenty for everyone. We just have to manage it better. When you look at how much grocery stores throw away, we throw away more food, more meat, vegetables, you know, baked goods, fruits and vegetables, all that stuff than we even sell in America. And I've sent policies through Pete and hoping that President Trump will get his arms around this, because we collect all that in my county, and it's truckloads and truckloads and truckloads of meat, 10 times more than you can get on EBT when you go through one of their services. And I go through this one where I watch 800 people go through every week. And they give you like 8 packages of meat, and it's like organic, grain-fed, all kinds of stuff. Whole Foods, Publix, all of our stores participate in this. So there's plenty of resources for the world. We don't need their evil, kill all the people in the world. And I've also sent policies on reverse osmosis pipelines. The deserts are the best places to grow food, where cold water rises from the Antarctic. It comes up and it forms a desert. If it's below 5,000 feet, you have a potential for all you really need is water and nutrient. And you can have endless food, endless clean water, clean air, mine minerals naturally, all these different things. And all we have to do is manage it, because the top half of Africa is all deserts. We've got deserts coming up from the Sonoran to the Mojave. We've got deserts in Australia. There's plenty of resources for the whole world, okay? We can feed the world. Everybody can prosper. This whole doom and gloom elitist thing that they need to kill off 80% of the world is totally ridiculous. And I just want to say that, don't ever buy into that. Don't ever think that there's too many people. We just need someone that's smart enough to manage things. And my reverse osmosis pipelines are fed by natural fish farms, and it's a symbiotic relationship where the organic fish poop feeds the crops, and the crops feed the fish. It's all organic, and we can fix the problems of the world, but first we have to start wanting to. We want to have to end war. We want to feed the people. We want clean water around the world. And you look at Mexico. If you went from the Sonoran down through Mexico, God knows they need the clean water down there. And Mexico could become a very prosperous nation if they would just open their eyes and see what they've got. And we could feed the world right here. We could feed the world from Africa. So I don't buy into their satanic cult, and I don't buy into their worldview. And I guess that's all I wanted to say for the moment, Johnny. But I just wanted to throw my tidbit in there.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Nuclear Warrior.
Yeah, Greg's right, and that's part of the deep state plan is control the food and control the people. It's been that way for a very long time. I just wanted to hit on some of the comments we're seeing off the live feed here. Mike Baseman jumps in here again, and he's asking, did you know that they're finding prayer blankets on the Texas rancher's property? Imagine that. He also, Matt Wall tosses in there that Border Patrol gets shot at with .50 caliber from across the border. So how is that not an act of war? We have too many restrictions on how to battle this, and they get away with murder? That's a question. Mary Murray, when the dust clears, the flag still stands. Thank you for that, Mary, and that's the truth. Mike jumps in a little later that his daughter knows an illegal, and she has 4 kids against medical, food stamps, and money and housing. And he served his country, and they tell him that, no, he can't get food stamps. Now, what the hell is up with that? And remarks from Greg's talk from Mary Murray again. She agrees that these cannibal restaurants in California are getting tax breaks. Talk about sick. And she also says again that what Greg's been saying about being able to feed the world, etc., all that's true. All we need to do is better land management, better management of resources, stop the agenda of controlling what the people get for food to keep them under control, and teach them how to grow food, how to change their environment so that it's sustainable. And Matthew Wall asks, I wonder what happened to Hillary Rodham Clinton. Have not seen her in the media except old photos and at Gitmo. Well, that's the best place for her, actually. Also, a piece of information that you may or may not have heard about before Pelosi and crew decided to take a military flight and see half the world. She asked Trump to delay the State of the Union address until the government shutdown ends. The big reason for that is she didn't want the president to directly address the people about the whole reason that they're not negotiating on getting the wall. Well, the way it works is that the Speaker of the House usually sends an invitation to the President to come and address the State of the Union with both chambers in the House of Representatives for the presentation. Well, she has decided not to send that invitation and says that the State of the Union address is not going to happen. Well, I have a feeling it's going to happen irregardless. It may happen from a different location, maybe the Oval Office, and it'll be directly to the American people. And the good news with that is we won't have to have his presentation interrupted by outbursts of standing ovation and watch the Democrats sit on their backside and not participate in any of that also. So if he does do it from the Oval Office, I'm all for it. I'll watch the whole thing. I'll do my own standing ovations. Commander, back to you for anything else.
Yeah. Well, one thing, tomorrow, I understand tomorrow he is going to be on the TV, so everybody watch. If you were go a little further into what you're talking about of what is about to happen, it's out pretty much to the public, so talking about the 800,000 people in pink slips.
Oh, okay. Yep. Tomorrow marks day 30 of the government shutdown. Now, on day 31, 800,000 people, maybe more, with some of these people that are out on furlough, they may not have jobs to come back to. As a matter of fact, most of them probably will not, because on day 31, it's called a RIF, reduction in force after that, and they're not called back to work. So that may be part of his big television presentation tomorrow evening. And there may be more on top of that. I'm not sure if we're allowed to vet any or present any of it yet, because it's still kind of sensitive information. But when we know that we can release it, we will. And one of those agencies that's going to be affected is called the SES, and they have to do with special counsels and investigations and things of that nature. And from what I've been able to gather information-wise through the course of the day today, Bob Mueller is also part of that SES, and he may soon be out of a job as well. So what happens if Mueller ends up being out of a job? Well, technically, if you think about it, that means his investigation ends. So that's good news. If it does end, I'm hoping that the results get published and in a fast fashion, so we can see just how much of a wasted time of money this whole Russian collusion thing really was. So until we know more about stuff that we can and cannot release through our news broadcast here, I'm going to leave it at that. If the commander knows more about this than I've portrayed and he feels comfortable with presenting it, I'll turn it over to him. But one last comment here from Mary Murray. Righteousness is prevailing. Trust the plan. Amen. Commander?
Yeah, and I'm going to go back and elaborate on Matthew Walls. Border Patrol gets shot at 50 caliber, and he asked if that is not an act of war. Yes, it is an act of war. I don't know. I hadn't heard any information on that, but I'm sure that President Trump will act accordingly on it. We have so much going on, folks, all the way around you. So please keep your head on a swivel. Watch for things you don't normally see. Down here on the border, with or without support of the American people, we're going to be there. I've said before, I lost a son in Desert Storm. I laid in the military hospital for a year. I give blood, sweat, and tears for this country, and a lot of you out there have too. Now, I do want to give a call out also to the angel moms and fathers. There's a lot of things going on that is just totally absurd. There's no reason for this. I seen today, I was going through stuff looking for material that we could vet and know for a fact was true. There's every day there's 15, 20 reports sent to me to where somebody else has lost a child to an illegal or been raped by an illegal. I seen one where there was a 3-year-old was beheaded by an illegal after she was raped. Folks, this is what we're up against. This is what we got to stop from coming into this country. Every show I've said it, these people are coming carrying their flag for their country, burning the American flag, walking on the American flag, cussing the American people, threatening the people in America. If you want that in your country, you know, there's a big problem. But we're there to help stop it. And the most open border in the state is New Mexico. We have 198 or 89 miles of open border. Take 2 of that away because we have 2 miles of fence. And that's it. And these people are coming in here not to be our friend, not to work. They're coming in here to try to overthrow our government, take our country away, bring in the Third World Order agenda. And I'm going to do what I have to do with my men and with the men that volunteer to go down on the border. These people are not paid to be there. They're there because they're patriots, because they took an oath. You veterans out there, you understand that oath you took? Is your country worth protecting? I know a lot of them say, well, I'm going to stay here and protect my home just in case something happens here. Well, if we stop at the border, there's no way it's going to happen there. And the only way we're going to stop them is with a human wall of patriots that believe in America enough and believe in your oath that you took when you were in the military, to believe in it enough to come down and help protect your country. Because you're not going to do a sitting behind a computer saying, well, I'll wait and see what happens. That's a bunch of crap. If you're an American, goddammit, get off your ass and get down here. We have people down there that have their butt on the line. David Miller, very good soldier. He's been down there for several months now. He's our eyes on the border of just one area. We have people on the other end. They've been catching people. We got people on the other end, but I'm not going to give numbers. That's the worst thing in the world I could ever do. But we need more. We don't have near enough. We need at least 1,000 more people down here. And if you folks don't understand the seriousness of this, go start doing some research on what's going on the borders and who's coming across and what they're doing. This is not a myth. It's not propaganda from the left. It's fact. It's easy. You can Google them. You can Google what's going on. You can see it. Go to our Facebook page. You will see videos that my men took down there just recently. And if we don't get help, we're going to be another Alamo. And that's not exaggeration. You know, we're here for you. Why can't you be here for us? That's what I'd like to know. Mary, she's been a very avid follower and friend. It takes only a handful of determination to win the battle. And you are very right. And thank you for the comment. Anybody else have any questions? I'll answer them if I can. If I can't answer them, we'll get an answer for you. But we need you on the border. We need men. We need donations in the worst way. Because now it's getting real, folks. The rubber's meeting the highway, and it's burning. So if those of you that can make a donation, please donate to the United Constitutional Patriots. At the United Constitutional Patriots Facebook page, there's a GoFundMe account and a PayPal. For those of you that want to make donations for anything that they can use for food, camping, blankets, boots, shoes, socks, toiletries, badly needed, please donate to the United Constitutional Patriots at care of John Horton or Mark Cheney at P.O. Box 1334, Flora Vista, New Mexico, 87415. or you can call me if you want to make a difference and be boots on the ground. You can call me at 505-334-2492. And you know, JB and Walker, you are so right. This is absurd, and they're sickos of what they're doing. Now, I want people to know the information we put out over this radio show is 100% vetted. Fact. We don't put anything out that has not been vetted in any way whatsoever. Greg, you want to say something?
Well, I always encourage people to do their own research, and a lot of this stuff is so shocking. But if you don't believe in this child trafficking is a global problem. You have no idea how huge it is, how these elitists, are in this child trafficking. It's a horrible thing. But for those of you willing to do the hard work, I mean, go into the WikiLeaks emails and read Podesta's emails and how he's always carrying on about his, the chef and the walnut sauce, they call it, and the spirit cooking. Do your own research. You don't have to take our word for it. We try to get people to think for themselves. We try to get people to do their own research. Everything that we're saying is true. And it's 1,000 times worse than we're even saying it is. But thank God for President Trump. Pray for President Trump, because he shut down a lot of this child trafficking around the world. He's going after these people, all of them. And it doesn't matter who you are. I mean, it doesn't matter who you are. He doesn't care if you're a king, a queen, a president, a prime minister. If you're torturing and raping children and killing them, President Trump is God's anointed, and he's come here. I mean, when you think about, I always say there's a billion trillion stars in the universe. And when when we've gotten so bad that the God of the universe had to come and get involved, things were really bad. And actually, our planet was about to be destroyed by nuclear war by these crazy sociopaths. And I really believe that's why God of the universe got involved. And if you read my books, The History and Faith, AmericanWatersheds.com, I think I make a pretty good case for this, that, this was I can prove to you that God got involved. At what point does it become mathematically impossible? Q always says, okay. And I think when 550 of the largest faith-based groups in the world played New Clinton Chronicles, a movie everyone should see, in church, a political movie in church, without a single person denying the post, hiding the post, blocking all posts, spam, no derogatories whatsoever. And I shared that to 50 million people. Now, that is impossible. In the world of the internet and what I do, it's as big as parting the Red Sea. So you better believe that this is God against Satan. It's good against evil. It's the patriots against fascism. I mean, we are in the biblical times right here. And you better decide, faith without action is a waste, and action without faith, to be honest with you, is a bit of a waste. So, we really need to look at this long and hard and say, are we going to stand up for your God and your country? I mean, are you going to stand up for your God and your country? Or are you just going to be on the sidelines and read about it in books later and saying, I could have, I would have, I should have, I was there? I've been back in the 60s. I always heard, oh, yeah, I was part of the civil rights protests and all this and that. Well, I imagine most people were, okay? But I also remember the first MC5 album, that's kind of my family and friends there. And there was, I can't remember how many people there, 5,000 people there that night, but 100,000 people say they were there, okay? So, you need to decide whether you were going to be part of the problem or part of that was what, they used to say back then, either you're part of the problem or you're part of the solution. Brother J.C. Crawford, I think he just passed recently, but he always used to say, are you part of the problem or are you part of the solution? And we want you to be part of the solution, and we want you to share this everywhere, and we want you to pray for our president. We're just so thrilled. I waited my whole life for a president like this. Believe me, I waited my whole life as an activist and kind of a radical. And he has fulfilled my entire life. And I just want to say thank you, President Trump. And let's all pray for President Trump. And that's all I wanted to say, Johnny.
Thank you. Okay. President Trump tweet, I will be making a major announcement concerning the humanitarian crisis on our southern border. and the shutdown tomorrow afternoon, 3 p.m., live from the White House. So that now you have when he will be on there. Thank you, Mary Murray. She says, I'm putting plugs in with everyone I talk to support UCP. No, thank you. And I want to take up the challenge also with Nuclear Warrior. He challenged everybody to $50 donation. I know it sounds like a lot of money, but when you got people on the border down there that are living in tents, taking care of our country, we need help for food, supplies, binoculars, and what we don't have, we have to purchase for them. This is life-saving equipment that they need down there. And we've been trying to get night vision for these men down there. Couldn't get them, so we did have to purchase some out of our donations for the men. But this is what they can see, because they come through most of the time at night between midnight and 5 in the morning. Most of the time between 2 and 5 in the morning before daybreak. This is when they come through. That's why they need their night vision. This is why they got to see who's coming. So they know how to react and where to go and how to apprehend these people. Hopefully, it's not the wrong ones like MS-13 and some of the others that are carrying weapons and would prefer to fight. One thing about New Mexico, you need to know: main child trafficking comes through New Mexico because there's nobody to stop them. We have maps of the trails given to us by people that live on the border that have seen these come through. The Border Patrol, some of them are corrupt, not all of them, but some are corrupt, and they turn their head and let them through. They're bringing children 13 to 18 years old over here for sex trafficking. We need to stop it. We need the help. If I can't get that help, I don't know what I can do. It takes manpower. It takes trained men that are patriots who love our country, love our flag, and believe in the Constitution of the United States of America. We want our Constitution back 100% intact. That's what Trump is working on. We want American people to be free, to be able to go out and camp, go out and do something, and not have to worry about, is someone going to shoot at them, or is somebody going to kill them, or is somebody going to rape or steal your child. This is what we want back. We want our freedom back. And that is exactly what the situation is. JB, I believe it probably is Eastern time, which would be 12 o'clock Mountain time. So that's all I can answer on that, my friend. So if any of you guys can contribute in any way, please do. We're all working our tail end off. We do not take. We are not a staff. Well, we're not a staff. We are a staff, but we're also a team, and we work together as a team. We're working for you folks. We're not working for ourselves. We're not getting paid a damn dime. Everything we do because we're patriots. We want to help keep our country free, and we want to protect our borders and the American people. Help us do that. I'm asking you to please help us do that. You're the only ones that can. It's really crazy. The other day I was looking, and some gal put up a GoFundMe account or PayPal account, I can't remember which, and she wanted donations from people so she could buy her a home and move her and her kids in because she didn't like the area she was living in. She had $22,000 that was been donated. I couldn't believe it. She had a home. She's living in it. We have troops on the border in tents, and people don't want to donate. Is it because they don't believe in America? Is it because they don't believe in what's going on? There's a big comparison difference. These are men that are going to be down there until we get a border wall up. That border wall is the only thing that's going to save the people that are living on the border. Once we pull out, because they are the ones that are helping us. They're the ones helping to feed the men, to do their laundry, bringing them meals, whatever help these are what these people do down on the border. We have to protect them when this is all over with and the border wall's up, so we can successfully know we've done our job and leave with them being safe. We have them telling them that they're having to pack weapons they've never had to do before. There's so much going on. And, you know, it's so easy. Google do Google Earth. Check out the border in New Mexico. You'll see there's a 3.5, maybe 4 foot fence that you can step over. There's no barbed wire. There's no security wires of any kind. This is the problem, is people don't want to believe it. Our governor will not let troops on the border. And because of that, civilians have to protect our borders. Men and women both. We need medical people. We need soldiers. We need people who can be runners, running for supplies and stuff for when needed. We need people who can help these men when they come in. They're a week in the field, and then they're a week at the base camp. When we get everybody on the border, we're going to need all the help we can get, from civilian help to military type. So if you can help, please contact me at 505-334-2492. If you can make a donation, make it to United Constitutional Patriots. On Facebook, Google it, easy to find. Our GoFundMe page is there, and so is our PayPal. If you want to send supplies, send them to the United Constitutional Patriots, care of John Horton or Mark Cheney, at P.O. Box 1334, Laura Vista, New Mexico, 87415. And with that, anybody else got anything they want to say? Go ahead, Nuclear Warrior.
Yeah, thank you, Commander. I just wanted to pop in here and let everybody that's listening know that I have just posted my PayPal $50 donation to the United Constitutional Patriots for supplies for the Patriots at the border. And my challenge stands. I challenge those that can afford to make $50 donation. If you cannot, I'll happily accept on their behalf a lesser amount. The point being that we need to supply these people so that they have a few comforts, but mostly have the things that they need to survive down there while they're putting it on the line for all of us on the interior. So there's the challenge, folks. Let's see if you can match me. And with that, Commander, I guess I can hand it off to you to have Chuck do the closing prayer.
Thank you. Folks, above all, what is needed is prayer, not just for our country and for our president, but the families that are being affected by these illegal aliens, by the families that are affected by having their men, their fathers, their brothers, their sisters on the border, willing to give their life to keep you free. Keep your prayers for them, folks. For all the officers out there, the men in blue, the police officers, first responders, they're the ones that are there to keep you free. They're the ones that are there to take up the slack when something happens. They're your safety. And I mean literally your safety if this takes place. A lot of you say, well, I'll protect my family. You know, I have my weapons. I'll protect my family. You know, it don't work that way. If you're overrun, you're not going to be able to protect yourself as well as the family. I don't care what kind of training you have. I know, been there, done that. So this is what you have to look for. Look toward your neighbors. Form a coalition within your neighborhood where you all stand together, where somehow you can contact each other immediately if there's something wrong. Make everybody aware. Stand as a unit to fight. protect your loved ones and your home. That's your constitutional right. Don't ever think it's not. As a citizen of the United States of America, you have more say than anybody, anywhere, at any time. As a citizen, we the people, we are the government. And that's what the government people said in Washington, D.C., seem to have forgotten. It's up to you. It's up to us. It's up to we the people to protect our country. We've had to do it before, and we'll do it again. So with that, I want to thank President Trump for all he is doing and letting us be a part of him. I want to thank what DOD is doing, the military. I want to thank our men on the borders that are willing to give their life again for the American people. So many people don't realize the grasp of what that really means. But what's going to mean to you when you see when it will hit the news, because it'll have to hit the news, if we're filming body bags on the border because our men didn't have the backing they needed. Think about that. Can you live with it as an American, knowing you could have done something, but you didn't? Don't wait for President Trump's call. He's not going to give it. He can't. Under the Constitution, he cannot do it because it's treason if he calls out the militias or the patriot groups, because we are already in a martial law. So think about that. With that, I want to say thank you, all my listeners. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, and God bless you. Anything you can do, please help. Put the word out. Share this show. Get the word out to these people. The American people need to be woke up. They need to know the truth of what's going on. And you know, if you're going to go someplace looking for something that you don't want to hear, if you don't want to hear the real truth, you're on the wrong channel, because we're going to give you the real truth. We're going to give you the facts. We vet them. We check them. We double check them. We discuss them. All day long, we are in the war room discussing what is going on, vetting the information that we feel the American people need to know the most. It's the most urgent and most important. That's what we do. That's what we're for. That's what the United Constitutional Patriots are about, protecting America and America's way of life. Okay, Chuck, would you like to do the closing prayer, sir?
Yes, sir, we can do that. Lord Jesus, we come before you right now to thank you once again, Lord, as we do each and every night that we do this show, for allowing us the opportunity, giving us the opportunity to come here and do this great work that we do. We thank you, Lord, for each and every member of this staff, this team that we have assembled here, or should I say that you have assembled here for the purpose of doing this great work. We thank you for the opportunities that have come our way and the opportunities that are coming our way. We thank you, Lord, for our listeners, our many listeners that tune in each time we do a show. Many of them are very loyal to this program. They seem to like it very much. And we're proud and happy that we're able to bring the news and information that these good people need and want, and that we're able to do it in a manner pleasing unto you in accordance to your will. We thank you, Lord, for this president and all those working together with him to the betterment of our country and the defeat of the deep state. We ask you, Lord, to continue to let your blood of protection be upon him. Let your angels be encamped around about him. Keep your hand upon him, Lord, and your watch care over him. And we ask you to do that with all of those that are working together with him. We ask, Lord, to continue with us all now as we continue to go about our business. Continue with us throughout the rest of this day, throughout the coming days. Continue to guide us, guard us, and direct us. Draw us ever closer to one another, ever closer to thee. We also ask you, Lord, to be with those who are right now standing watch on our borders, doing the job that needs to be done to protect our country. All those that are standing on guard to protect this country, we ask you to bless them, protect them, and keep them safe. Continue with us now and always, Lord, for we do ask it all in the holy name of Jesus Christ. Amen and amen.
Thank you, Chuck. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to bring something to your attention. Jim Gallagher, I call him Bill, that's what he prefers, is one of our men who is in Elk City, Oklahoma. He's got about $400 or $500 worth of supplies and stuff he's trying to get to us. He's also trying to get to us. He doesn't have a vehicle to drive, but he has all supplies in him. He's right off of Interstate 40 in Elk City, Oklahoma, about 6 hours from us. We need somebody who can possibly grab him if you're coming this direction, if you're out in Oklahoma or anybody headed this way, who can grab him and the supplies and get him up here to our headquarters to us so we can have him here as well as the supplies. He's a guy with a big heart. He's a great guy. He's a true patriot, and he's a friend of mine. He just put in here, Jim Gallagher. This is Bill Gallagher. Whenever I get to John's place, from then on, I want to share at least 40% of whatever I make for the whole month. Thank you, Jim. And we need to get him a ride up here. If anybody can help, please call me at 505-334-2492, and I will give you his contact. We've been trying for a week and a half to get him up here. He can't bring this stuff on the bus because there's about 400 cases of water alone that he's got. And this is one of the things that's going to be needed and is needed down on the border. So if anybody, even you listeners, can help, please give me a call at 505-334-2492. With that, I want to say goodnight to everybody, but at the same time, I want to thank all of my listeners again, all of our donators. And if you don't mind, on our next show, I will give the names of the people who've donated and who are helping with this great need. I want to thank President Trump for all he is doing. I want to thank the police, first responders. I want to thank all of them for what they're doing for our country and for you and me. Also, too, I want to keep our angel moms. I want to keep them in our prayers and say a special prayer for them, too, because they're still going through hard times. I know I have an angel. We have one of the angel families in our staff here. And it's not easy. There's holes in their lives that was left because of this. Because some illegal killed their child. Or some illegal raped their child. Folks, let's stand together. Let's stand as one. Stand as Americans. You're not black, you're not white, you're not green, you're not blue. You're an American. And you're a patriot. And we ask for the help of all patriots. We'll be back on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 6 o'clock Mountain Time. For those of you that want, we are in the process right now of having T-shirts made up. Haven't had a report on them yet. But we're going to have United Constitutional Patriot T-shirts that we're going to be making up. And you'll be able to order at the time. They're high quality, U.S. made, and the prices, all the money will go to the United Constitutional Patriots for the men. The money that is off of that will all go into our accounts. And they'll be between $20 to $25. We haven't made up our mind yet. And we got Little Rebel, who is the one that is making them, part of our staff. And we will let you know as soon as we have them, and you can let us know if you want them. With that, I want to say good night. God bless you. God bless our president. And God bless America. Adios. Till next time.
Thank you for joining us on the United Constitutional Patriots Radio. Our next show will be on Monday at 5 o'clock Mountain Time and 6 o'clock Pacific Time. God bless all you patriots, and please note this. Lincoln once said, "A house divided cannot stand," so we need to unite and take care of this problem. So God bless all you patriots, and have a great night.